Well, because of the location where organic chlorella is grown, it's in an area where the water, it's very, very pristine. It's a island in the Indian Ocean that it's really pristine. It's sort of the Hawaii of that area, and you're going to have lower levels of heavy metals in the water, lower pollution. If you look at a map of this area and you look at, there's ways to look at the pollution levels. This particular area where this chlorella is grown, it has virtually half or less than half the pollution levels that you would see in the other places that chlorella is grown. So you're just guaranteed higher quality than you would be with conventional.
And how does the organic chlorella designation or certification process compare to fair traded certified
Very
seals?
different. Yeah, fair trade is something completely different. You've heard of fair trade coffee and you've heard of fair trade chocolate, and these type of products that are grown in sort of third world countries. You want to also be sure from a social standpoint that there's a commitment to develop these products where people are getting a fair wage, where they're following environmental standards, and you only are going to get that with a third-party independent verification. So it's like organic in the way that there's an organization that's completely separate from the industry that comes in and certifies you organic. The same is true for fair trade. There's an organization called the Institute of Marketology that comes in and looks at the quality of the product, it looks at your social and environmental standards, how you help the local people, how you pay their fair wages, how you make sure that there's the social aspect of the growers, even little things like having education for those people and hospitals and clinics, equal treatment, that they have good health and safety aspects in their work. And so fair trade is more of a social than a health-related thing, but I think it's just as important.
Well, from a global health perspective, it certainly is, and from a
Yes.
humanitarian perspective, it's certainly wise to want to take care of yourself, but as you mature through the hierarchy of values, you certainly want to adopt that philosophy for everyone. Thank you for the explanation of what fair traded is. Are there different certification mechanisms for fair traded?
I think there's just a few fair trade organizations. To be honest, I don't know how many, but this one, the IMO is the largest fair trade, and they also depend on like the coffee guys have their own fair trade certifiers, and chocolate might have their own. The IMO tends to be the dietary supplement in the food industry.
Oh, it's not. So that's not just chlorella. That's the one for
it's
the
not
diet.
just chlorella. They do spirulina. They do a lot of supplement products.
Okay.
Because again, it's the same thing as the coffee and the chocolate. You want to be sure that where we're producing materials in these third world countries that that we're not raping the land, we're not exploiting the population, that we're providing them with a living wage. So it's very similar to what you would see when you see fair trade coffee, which has become a household term.
Excellent. Well, I think you've really covered the spectrum of the different details about chlorella and helping us understand some of those specifics, because really the devil's in the details. But are there any other points of information you'd like to share with us about chlorella or convey to the listeners?
Just back to being an educated consumer, that as an educated consumer, that you can go to your health food store, you can go to Whole Foods and you'll see 8 different chlorella products. Do some research, look at the company's websites. You can talk to them. You can see what kind of science they have on their products and then make your decision. So as you said, the devil's in the details, and there's a lot of details. So
Sure.
if you're an educated consumer, you'll make the right choices.
Well, and especially if you're going to do this for the long term. If you're just going to try a supplement for one bottle or, just kind of play with it, then it's not as crucial or critical. But if you're really going to make a commitment to this long term and you're really interested in in doing this for yourself or someone in your family, then I think it's really incumbent upon you to really take the extra step. Yes, it's going to take some time, effort, and energy. You might have to make a few phone calls or, send a few emails off, but at least you'll feel comfortable and confident that you have independently evaluated, that you've confirmed this, that you haven't relied on someone else, because ultimately, you're responsible for your own health. You really can't, you really shouldn't be trusting everyone to tell you the information. You really need to do some independent investigation yourself, and that's what we seek to empower you with on our site, is to tell you and explain all these details so that you can do it yourself, to really give you the tools so that you can make the decision independently and not tell you which is the right or wrong way. Do your own analysis. Google's an amazing search tool. It did not. It basically, most people may not know, but certainly there were search engines in the 90s, but Google, which is clearly the dominant search engine, started actually after our website did. So they started in a little bit after we did, but obviously they become an amazing resource and that empower you with the ability to do independent analysis and investigation. Now, clearly everything on the net is not going to be valid, but you can get a sense and a flavor and a quality, but just doing some cursory reviews, and you'll be astounded at what you can find. But you do have to take the step. You have to invest the time, effort, and energy, and really to reach your own conclusions. So that's why we're so grateful to have people like you on our program to help us get this information, which is admittedly somewhat challenging to get unless you really have industry experts and insiders to really speed up the process. And then once you know what the process is, you can validate it much more easily once you understand what the broad scope is. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.